What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have a very exciting video for you today. I'm going to be checking out the long-awaited but recently released 2025 Chevy Blazer EV SS. Now, I've taken a look at the Blazer on this channel before, and it's always been one of those vehicles that I felt kind of in contrast to the Chevy Equinox EV, had a ton of great features, but just wasn't that interesting to drive because it was so heavy and it just was a little bit limited on power. Whereas the Equinox, well, it didn't have as nice materials or as nice of a build quality, was more fun to drive because the horsepower matched the size of the vehicle a little bit better. That's not really the case here with the Blazer EV SS. This has 615 horsepower and is all-wheel drive. Plus, it has all those same great comfort and convenience features that you'd expect on a Chevy at this price point. So we're gonna walk around this entire vehicle, take a look at everything it has to offer, and then take it for a test drive. All right, so let's get started here up front. So this has that typical kind of Chevy EV, very aggressive styling to it. Interestingly, you don't have any kind of like honeycomb style grille or diamond pattern at all here on the front. It is just a smooth piece of plastic, which is really an interesting look. I kind of like it, but you've got your SS badging here. You've got some parking sensors dotted around. You've got a front-facing camera that works with your surround view system. You've got illuminated Chevy bow tie here, and this whole LED front lighting kit is really low profile here. Really cool design to it, but again, this front grille is just really simplistic. And trust me, you know how I feel about simplified grills. That does not bother me in the slightest. You do have some air pass-throughs there, some air intake there for cooling. Now, I've mentioned it many times, but you'll notice when we lift the hood up, you do not have a frunk as you'd expect on most typical EVs these days. Chevy has opted to put all of their kind of components, motors, fluids, all that kind of stuff under the hood in kind of a more traditional sense. So here on the Blazer, you're gonna have that same thing. And while I wish they would use some of this pretty significant space here to put a frunk for extra storage, I'd rather them not do it if it means just having a tiny frunk. But this does also give you easy access to all the different fluids if you need to get to them, and plus the 12-volt battery as well. So I appreciate all that. I'm sure for mechanic purposes, it's easier to work on this if need be. But you know how I feel about having a frunk. It's always nice on an EV. I also did want to mention this is the sterling gray metallic color, and we have the beautiful adrenaline red Tech seats on the inside. This one stickers for $60,000 starting price, and we have about $4,000 worth of options on this one, which brings the total right under $64,000, which honestly I think is a pretty reasonable price given the power and the comfort and convenience features, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Now, if we move on over here to the wheels, you'll see that the Blazer EV SS here sits on these massive 22-inch two-tone wheels. They look really, really nice. Very clean, very kind of classy wheel design. Nothing too crazy, but absolutely massive 22-inch wheels here. And if we peek back here, you can see that we've got Brembo brake calipers with the little SS badging on them as well. Now, I've always been super into how the charge port area opens here on the Blazer. It's pretty extra, but I think it looks really cool. So if you push the little dots right here, it's gonna fold out kind of like a transformer, nice and slow. But it will give you access to this charge port area. Now on the Blazer EV SS here, you can get up to 190 kilowatt DC fast charging. There's an 11.5 kilowatt AC onboard charger there. And all of that juice is going into an 102 kilowatt hour battery pack there. You do get a little LED indicator around your charge port area. Like I said, DC fast charging available. It does use the J1772 plug still, which a little unfortunate, but you can charge these things on Tesla chargers if you want to with an adapter. Hit this button here. Nice and slowly, it'll close right back up. Really cool. I always love that. Now moving over here to the side mirrors, these are power folding side mirrors. They're black to match with this two-tone black roof here, but they've got turn signals built in. You've got your camera up underneath. They're heated. They got blind spot monitoring built in. The full suite here on these really nice mirrors. One of the options we added on here is this gigantic panoramic tilting and sliding sunroof. You got black roof rails integrated in. I really like the cladding that you've got down here at the bottom. It's a black gloss with a little bit of a silver accent and then this kind of little touch here, which is neat don't really know if it serves any purpose other than just looking cool. Got a little extra window back here, a little bit of a spoiler to keep some stuff off your back windshield, nice tinted rear glass with a tiny little wiper. I remember this from my original Blazer video. Teeniest wiper you've ever seen, but it's a decent sized back windshield. You've got these cool kind of Y-inspired LED taillights here across the back, Blazer badging here, Chevy bow tie in the center, all-wheel drive and SS badging there. But I love these little just accent touches. Really cool. Didn't have to do all that, but it just makes it feel like they put some extra care and thought into it. Now you'll notice here we do have 2 cameras underneath plus a sprayer for both. One is going to be your rear view mirror camera, which we'll take a look at inside, and then the other one is just your traditional rear camera. This does have an auto sense tailgate, which I have a lot of problems with. It never really seems to work for me. I'm just going to open it manually. But now with that tailgate open, you can see we've got access to 26 cubic feet of cargo space with those second row seats folded up. If we fold those down, we can get up to 59 cubic feet of cargo space. The only thing I really wish we had back here, the cargo space is fine. I just wish we had a way to drop these seats electronically. I think at this price point, that's warranted, but unfortunately, we're stuck with what we're stuck with. But we do have the power liftgate here. We can go ahead and drop that down. They really do put a lot into the materials here. So you've got a soft touch kind of leatherette up top with some beautiful red contrast stitching. Same gloss black plastic, which again, I'm not a big fan of. And you can just see it here. It's just a fingerprint and dust attractant. It just is what it is. These companies keep using it and I'm not sure why. It creates a mess. Even like a gray plastic would do better here. But then this beautiful adrenaline red Evotex here, and then more black plastic all the way down. But you do get some higher end materials here on the door panels, which I'm appreciative of. You also have your Bose premium audio system down here, trunk button, power adjustable seats there with lumbar support. I know not everyone's probably as big of a fan of black and red interiors as me, but man, just looks so good. All right, hopping here inside the cabin. The first thing that you're gonna notice, I think, well, at least what I noticed first, is the Super Cruise here on the steering wheel. So I haven't driven a ton of vehicles that have Super Cruise, but I have done a comparison between the Super Cruise system and full self-driving for Tesla. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll have it linked above and down in the description. But we'll try it out again when we do our test drive portion here in just a bit. Down here, electronic parking brake, lane centering, auto vehicle hold, and brightness for your infotainment and driver information display. But moving back up to the steering wheel here, you've got all of your Super Cruise and cruise control system buttons and controls on the left side of the steering wheel. We've got a little blacked out Chevy bow tie here, little SS badging here, accent stitching on this leather wrapped heated steering wheel here. Then all your media controls and that heated steering wheel button are on this side. Chevy's been rocking with this setup for a while. You've got your Regen on-demand paddle here, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite things about Chevy EVs. Then you've got this combo light wiper and turn signal stock here. And then on the other side, you've got your shift stock. So it's pretty simple: up for reverse, back for neutral, down for drive, push for park. Got this little sensor to watch your face when you're using Super Cruise. And then we've got our driver information display here. Now this is Chevy's very traditional, recent driver information display. It's all built on Google's platform. You can switch through different views. You can get like cleaner looks. You can do a full screen mapping thing. There's a lot of customization here that you can really dig into the menus and adjust this how you want it, but it's got all your standard vehicle information, you know, who's buckled in, who's not, what gear you're in, how many miles. This vehicle has 4 miles on it. Your charge state, when you're charging, it'll show that, your speed, your audio, your assist systems, all that kind of stuff. It's a very full-featured system here. Again, the graphics style, I've mentioned this many times in other videos, is not my favorite, but everything you need is here. Plus, it all functions really well, which again, you can't say for every EV on the market. Now, if we move on over to the infotainment system, this is Chevy's 17.7-inch infotainment system, again, powered by Google. So you've got all your Google stuff built in, Google Assistant, the Play Store. You've got Alexa built in, Google News, Google Podcasts, Google Maps, all that kind of stuff. No Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto. Let's get that out of the way right off the bat. I know to the dismay of many people, but it does not have it. They really want you to use their built-in systems for kind of the most cohesive way of working, I guess. But you've got vehicle status, so you get a little rendering of your car. You can kind of pivot around. You've got different drive modes, so normal, sport, snow and ice, my mode, and Z mode. This is where you can completely customize your steering feel, your brake feel, motor sound, all that kind of stuff. And then you do have this little button here. Now this is your wide open watts button. This is what's going to enable that extra horsepower to really take it over the top and give you access to that full 615 horsepower. You got the My Chevrolet app built in, obviously Google Assistant, the Play Store. Inside of the charging menu here, you can set your charge limit. You can schedule charging in your account, and then you can see like preconditioning things, all that kind of stuff, all the typical EV stuff in there. Like I said, this does have that 360-degree overhead view cam system. Gives you that rendering around your car. Then you can switch between your different views if you want to look at the front cam, overhead, side view, and then same with the rear cam. My only complaint ever with this system, and I've talked about it extensively, is I wish that the camera system took up more of the screen. It's kind of relegated to this little tiny corner over here where all this blank space exists. I wish they just kind of stretch it out a little bit across the screen. We've got auto park assist, which is going to help you park into any of these types of parking spaces, and we'll test that out in just a little bit. You've got on-screen climate control here, so everything you need to do, you can do on the screen right here, but you also have physical controls for your climate down below, which I know a lot of people are going to appreciate. Wi-Fi hotspot, AM, FM, Sirius XM radio, Bluetooth built in. Obviously, like I said, Google Maps. We've got 2 USB-C ports. We got a little deep pocket here, and this thing does close up, so you can cover that if you want to. Wireless charging pad right here. If we lift up this red armrest here, you get a nice deep pocket, little LED light in there, a 12-volt outlet, and another USB-C port. So some functionality down in there as well. Up top here, you've got your rear view mirror camera that I mentioned outside, so you can switch between different things there. Kind of a two-way mirror with the digital and the regular. You've got your sunroof controls up here as well as your SOS buttons. Black headliner, which I'm a huge fan of. And then moving on over to the seating surfaces, as I've mentioned many times, these are the beautiful adrenaline red Infotainment seating surfaces here. They've got the SS badging built in, perforations down the center. They didn't do any kind of two-tone looks or anything with piping and adding contrast and stuff. They are just bright red seats. My water bottle kind of adds some contrast, but just bright red seats, red stitching, red piping. It is just red overload here, which I really, really like. Again, if I could pick my preferred seating surface, this would be it. These are heated and ventilated, like I mentioned, with the perforations, and they are power adjustable for driver and passenger. And then across the dash, soft touch material. You've got some contrast stitching right here, a little tray, more of that adrenaline red Infotainment material here, standard glove box there. And then, like I said, you do have a heads-up display. And we know this thing is absolutely loaded to the brim with tech, but how does it drive? All right, now for the fun part. Let's take the Blazer EV SS for a test drive. Now, before we do, I'm gonna get a DB test so we can get kind of a baseline of how quiet this vehicle is. I always like to do that. I know a lot of people appreciate that. Let's go ahead and turn the climate control off, turn our ventilated seat off as well, and then let her ride for a sec. So about 33, 34 dB. That's completely at idle, so it's basically dead quiet. Once we get up to city speeds here, we'll get a dB test when we're rolling a little bit. And I did want to give a huge shout out to Bachmann Chevrolet for letting me use this vehicle to make a little video for you guys. If you want to pick up this exact Blazer, it is for sale at Bachmann Chevrolet. I'll have a link down in the description directly to this one. I'm going to keep this test drive kind of short just because this is a future customer car and I don't want to put a ton of miles on it. We only have 5 on it right now. I'm going to try and keep it pretty close to that. So we'll give it a little whip around the block, give it a little juice, see how it does, try the Super Cruise, and then call it for this video. But now that we're cruising at city speeds, let's get a dB test. So about 60 dB at city speeds. Once we get up here on this main road, I'll give it a little juice. We'll get up to close to highway speeds and see what we're dealing with. But I mean, this vehicle is dead quiet. It's a very well insulated cabin, you can tell. Even the obnoxious cicadas outside sound a little bit more muted than normal. It's a very quiet cabin. Again, it's been a minute since I used Super Cruise, so I'm pretty interested in that. But drive mode right now, we're gonna put it in sport. I'm gonna turn off the wide open watts, or maybe I turned it on. It's a little bit hard to tell. I think it's off right now. Yeah, it's off. So it's still got plenty of juice, but you can definitely tell when it's off. A very smooth ride. I really like the regen. It feels good. I'm in one pedal mode, and I'm using the regen on demand paddle to slow me down even more in these kind of not emergency stop situations, but where you just need that little bit extra, where people are in front of you or coming to a stop a little quick. It's nice to have it for sure. And as far as like steering responsiveness, I talked a little bit about it when I reviewed the Equinox EV, and I just felt like there was this disconnection between steering input and how the vehicle moved, like almost this swimmy kind of delay feeling. I don't know what it is about the Blazer. I don't know if it's kind of the sportiness of it or that element of it, but it feels a lot more connected than the other Chevy EVs that I've driven. So like when you do like little swim moves like this, like it almost feels like a one-to-one. Like there's not this disconnection. Like I feel like I'm very connected to the whole experience. Like it doesn't feel like there's any lag whatsoever, which is interesting why that would be different between, you know, just two Chevy EVs, but feels different. So once we get up here on this main road, I'll give it a little juice in the just normal sport acceleration mode so we can kind of feel the baseline of how quick this vehicle is. It's still going to give you like 500 something horsepower with just the sport mode. So still more than your typical vehicle, just not quite that 615 that we are advertised. But let's go ahead and just... Yeah, feels plenty quick. There's a little bit of a pin back, not a ton, but a little bit of a pin back. But there's a lot of customization in here with the Z mode. You can change the steering, you can change that motor sound. If you're not a big fan of the whir, kind of electronic whirring noises that Chevy uses, you can turn that off altogether. I really like that. Acceleration feel, you can change. Brake feel, you can change. It's more of a kind of a luxury SUV feel to it, even though the price tag isn't crazy high for what you get for the cargo volume, the passenger volume, the kind of amenities that you get. It's not crazy high. It's expensive, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you're dealing with some Equinox models that are in the 50s on the high end. So this being 64, being a bigger vehicle and, you know, nicer materials and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't seem outlandish to me for this amount of power. Let's go ahead and turn on the wide open watts. You get that little like Iron Man sound, and we'll go ahead and just punch it. Yeah. That, I mean, you can just immediately tell the difference. There's still not a ton of like punch back, but maybe if we go up here and we come to a stop, maybe I'll feel it a little bit more. All right, this is kind of from a stop here. We're at a low mileage. Yeah, there's the punch. Oh yeah. Yep. That has got a ton of juice. A ton of juice. It feels pretty similar to the Silverado EV RST. I did a video on that over on my work channel. If you guys want to watch that, I'll have it linked below. Feels similarly to that. I don't think it has quite as much horsepower as that. I can't remember the exact number, but that's obviously a larger vehicle, so it's gonna, you know, you gotta weigh all those different things up against each other, but that's got plenty of juice and is very, very fun to drive. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed. You know, when I reviewed the Blazer originally, I remember saying like, what I really wanna check out is the SS. I just like these faster performance style vehicles. It's just my preference. I know, wow, I'm so different. I like performance cars, but some people just don't care, and that's totally fine. So for me, I was super stoked to check out this SS, and it really didn't disappoint. I'm impressed that it feels a little bit more connected in the steering, and using that wide open watts acceleration just give me that weird steering wheel twitch that it gave me on some of the other Chevy EVs. So honestly, I'm pretty impressed with the Blazer EV here. And in these videos, I usually throw out like 3 things I like, 3 things I hate, or 5 things I like, 5 things I hate. I don't really think I can come up with 5 things I hate about the Blazer EV. Really, I don't hate anything about it, but things that I might change. I think 3 things that I really like. Obviously, the power is incredible on this thing. The seats, again, I've gushed and gushed and gushed. You guys are probably sick to your stomach at this point. I'm just a big fan of red leather. So having the red leather seats, really nice touch. And overall, I really just like the design of the Blazer EV, especially with kind of getting rid of that faux grille and just having the nice clean piece in the front. Some of those little accent pieces I showed off outside, I really, really like. Overall, just a really, really excellent vehicle at the price point. A couple things that I would change personally, just complete personal preference here. I don't love the graphic style of the infotainment system. I've harped on that extensively. The only real, you know, counter to that is that it works really well. So while it doesn't have like the best look, in my opinion, doesn't mean it doesn't function really well. It's very fluid, very nice to use. So props to Chevy there. I wish Super Cruise could be used on these back roads, kind of like you can with autopilot or full self-driving, or Hyundai's highway drive assist. You can use that off highway. Volkswagen's travel assist, you can use that off highway. All of these kind of semi-autonomous driving systems can be used off highway except Super Cruise. Now, a lot of those aren't hands-free like Super Cruise is, but there's no reason why it couldn't use all of its same systems just on these back roads. But even if I try to activate it right now, turn on adaptive cruise control, hands-free driving unavailable, no road information. So it only works on those pre-mapped highways, which we're gonna test out here in just a sec, but it's just kind of unfortunate. And then the third thing, again, is a real nitpicky thing, but it's just kind of a two-parter. It's the camera quality on the backup cameras. I think it could be a little bit better, but I've said this about most legacy manufacturers right now. I don't know why that's not a priority to them, but it just doesn't seem like it in some of the vehicles that I've reviewed. But I just wish that it was a little bit better quality across the board on all of the cameras around the cabin. And then I wish that it would let you make the camera full screen on the screen, because I think that would help. Now, that might make the current quality cameras look worse. Maybe that's why they do it, but it would be nice if they would just help that fill up the whole screen. Before we end this video, let's get it up on the highway, try out Super Cruise, and we'll also try the auto park. We're on exit ramp right now, still not showing up, but once we get onto this highway, we might even have to merge all the way over. It should now appear. Turn on adaptive cruise control. On. Hands-free driving, unavailable lane ending. Okay, so we'll get over into the right lane. Now it shows. Okay, so now you see the little green light is on the steering wheel. I don't know, man. It feels really close to the left lane there. We're okay. We're good. So now we are driving hands-free. So as long as this little green light is up, means we're hands-free. So, for example, if we wanted to get around this truck here, so we're going to speed right up, it's going to turn blue, let us take over. And then when it flashes, we wait, and then it turns green again, and we're back to being in the middle of the lane. Now that we're on the actual highway, we can do a quick DB test here. So we're still a little bit quieter than your normal vehicle, but not as much as I thought. So we're at about 69 dB, bumping up to that 70. So that's pretty much right on par with everything else. But now if we want to get off the highway right here, what's going to happen is it's going to start blinking like this, and it's going to go, oh, we can't engage, we're off the highway. So again, it's designed mainly for traveling, pre-mapped highways, that kind of stuff. Let's go up here real quick and test out the auto park before we call it for this video. So let's do it right here, do it to back in, pull past a perpendicular spot. Should be one right here. There we go. All right, see a space behind us. Do you want to park in that? Let's do park in vehicle. Take hands off the steering wheel, release the brake pedal. I'm just gonna let it do its thing. Let's hop out and look. So a little diagonal in the spot, just a hair, but perfectly passable. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this Chevy Blazer EV SS. Let's talk about it down in the comments. Again, huge shout out to Bachman Chevrolet for letting me borrow it for this video. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.